Hi everybody, today I'm going to demonstrate how to create a color chart, and I can't emphasize enough how important a color chart is to your paint box. If you look at the colors in your paint box, many times you're not going to be able to identify readily what these colors are, so it can be very confusing if you're painting on location or in your studio. So I believe it's really essential to create a color chart of the colors in your paint box. I use Arches Text Wove, which is a 90-pound watercolor paper, and I create the color chart by making it the size of the paint box so that I can laminate it and insert it later on, so it will be part of the paint box. And what I like to do, I'm going to demonstrate, is you always want clean water when you start. And what I want to do is, when you create the color square, what you're going to be doing is laying the color down with the most saturated part of the paint at the top. So you're laying that down, and I have a little bit too much water here. So I'm going to take up some of this paint, but I want the most saturated part of the color to be at the top of my square. And then I'm going to sort of dilute the square with water, diluting it to the point where it's almost without pigment at the bottom. So this gives me a nice range of color for this particular color. So I'm going to demonstrate this again over here. So when you create a color square, you're going to start off by creating the darkest value at the top. And then you're going to gradually add water so that you get a gradated representation of the color. So it goes from dark down to the very lightest color. And sometimes you're going to have to do this in a small square, but ideally this is what it should look like. What you don't want is to create a color square. This is the one time in watercolor, one of the few times, where you really don't want your colors to touch. And so let's say I'm making another color square with my darkest value at the top. And what I don't want as I go down my color square is I don't want my colors, I don't want to mistakenly run my color into the other, because now this is going to sully this color and I'm not going to get an accurate representation of the color. So always create your own color chart for your paint box, and you'll be glad you did.